Hi, everyone. Welcome. I think we'll wait a couple of minutes for everybody to gather before we will formally begin. Okay, looks like we have about 30 people in the room, which is a portion of who registered. I don't know if we can give it another couple minutes. And I think, yeah, we have a couple of polls for everyone on the call. So once those pop up, feel free to participate. We just kind of want to get a sense about who is in the room. So you should be able to see those polls coming up in a minute. So there's two polls that just popped up on the screen. One is about what brought you to today's webinar. And the other one is a question about how you have engaged with the EPA or other organizations in the past. We're just curious about who's in the room today. Okay, so hi everybody, welcome. I think we'll be starting in exactly a minute. We'll be taking off.
Thanks to everybody for responding to the poll. If you can, please continue to respond to the poll if you haven't yet. We're interested to know what brought you here today.
Okay, so I think 5 minutes after the hour, and I think we can begin. My name is Alina. I am from the Office of Community Revitalization here at the EPA. I'm part of an awesome team that's been, a little background noise. I've been part of a team that's been working to stand up this project. And the team includes Kelsey Evans, Yvonne Marzouk, and Morgan Maloney. And if you guys want to just say hi briefly on screen, I think that would be awesome.
Hello.
Hey.
Hi, everyone.
Kelsey, can we see the results of the poll?
I thought you actually could already. Hold on.
Yes, results shared, but maybe I'm doing something wrong. I can't see it as a participant. Oh, cool. Here it goes.
Can
Okay.
you see it now? Great. Okay.
Yeah. Cool. So we see that about half of everybody on the call is representing local or regional government, and another quarter works for a community-based organization. Great. Welcome, everybody. And it looks like about 10% of the folks in the room have worked with our office before. And then another third have worked with a different EP office. This is really helpful. Really appreciate hearing all this. So I think we will just go and dive in. Morgan, if you want to move the slides to our first one. And since many of you do not have not worked with our office in the past, what we'll do is we will start a little bit by sharing a bit about our work. So our office provides land use environmental planning and land use planning support to communities all across the country through a variety of technical and planning assistance. So this past year alone, we worked in 10 communities through the Building Blocks for Sustainable Communities project, which focused on equitable development this past year, on about 7 electric vehicle planning projects, 2 projects related to highway redesigns, and over 30 recreation economy for rural communities projects. So it's possible someone in this webinar has worked with us on one of these projects over the past year. Overall, we provide planning assistance to communities as they shape their future and make decisions around planning. And over the course of about 25 years, our office has served a total of 700 communities. In addition to this technical assistance, we also convene and build local and national coalitions on topics as wide-ranging as equitable development and environmental resilience. Part of this coalition building work is through a group called the Smart Growth Network, and SCAN is being designed currently in partnership with the Smart Growth Network. The Smart Growth Network is a national alliance of advocates, practitioners, and policy professionals working towards a shared vision for land use. And we are working, as mentioned, in close collaboration, in particular with a steering committee of leaders from a variety of national nonprofit organizations that represent the Smart Growth Network leadership. On to the next slide and why we are offering this program. So one thing that we realized through much of our planning assistance work on the ground is that communities face a multitude of challenges moving sustainability plans into implementation. We recognize that local leaders and government professionals could use a little bit of extra support to maintain momentum after a plan is completed. So the idea of this network is to expand the capacity of communities aiming to move a policy, program, or idea from a sustainability plan to action in a peer learning environment. So I think we can move to the next slide about the program. So our vision is that this will be a peer learning program where the EPA provides support to local leaders, and also local leaders provide support to each other as they move plans to action. Through this program, we anticipate that you will be able to build and expand your professional network, learn from experts and also from each other about best practices, move towards action through peer support, and also work through challenges together and work on leadership. We view that every participant is an expert and a leader, and we hope that participants through the program will be able to share their expertise with each other and also on a national scale. Next slide. So this slide is really all about the programmatic structure of the program. So the program is over the course of 7 months, and we anticipate that it will begin January 14th. It will be held monthly. Each month, the meetings will be virtual, and they will be held in the afternoon, 2:30 to 5. And in between each meeting, participant teams will have an opportunity to share ideas and network further through a LinkedIn group that we are setting up. We also plan to have one in-person convening at the very end of the program. Currently, this is scheduled for July 22nd, although that date is a little bit of a moving target. The overall program is no charge, it's free. However, participants are responsible for travel costs to the convening. There are a couple caveats to this. There is a small set aside of funding for some participants to receive partial support for travel. We do recognize that travel costs can be a burden. And then there will be a hybrid option, but we are encouraging everyone, if they can, to participate in person during that last final convening. I'll also mention there is an expectations agreement that each participant team will fill out and sign. And one of the things that it states is that everyone will make the best effort possible to attend all the workshops and the convening. So the last piece that I will cover during this webinar today, before I move on and pass things along to Yvonne, my colleague, is curriculum. So one thing I want to stress is that curriculum will be tailored to your needs and interests. One of the questions on the application, which we will discuss, really asks you to identify what you want to dive into, what you need support with, and we plan to modify the curriculum to kind of address those needs as they emerge, as we read the applications, and also as the program evolves over the coming year. Some of the key content that we anticipate covering include, of course, climate change, environmental justice, land use. In terms of the pieces of the curriculum or how the workshops themselves will be structured, we anticipate having a lot of peer learning discussions where you will be able to present your experiences to each other, as well as ask each other for support if you are dealing with a particular challenge, seeking input, both from external experts as well as from your peer group. There will be quite a few small group activities that will focus specifically on the plan implementation and moving again towards action. And then there will also be leadership and professional development modules on a variety of topics. And that is it. And I'm going to move towards passing this along to Yvonne, who will talk a little bit about the application, eligibility. Thanks, everybody.
Hey everyone, so my name's Yvonne Marzouk, and I'm working with Alina and Kelsey and Morgan on this program. We're really excited to share about it with you and interested in hearing your questions, and looking forward to seeing applications. So I'm going to review a little bit about the eligibility for the program and also talk a little bit about the application process so that everyone can understand that fully. And so I'm going to start out by explaining a little bit about the eligibility of the program. So this program is designed for leaders in the environmental, land use planning, and sustainability fields. And participants must be prepared to undertake a specific project, action, or policy that prioritizes sustainability. Some specific project, action, or policy that we've been thinking might be relevant are things like activating vacant lots, including brownfields, creating community gardens, creating tree planting programs, advancing resiliency hubs, restoring and protecting healthy streams, promoting green infrastructure, installing electric vehicle charging stations, improving pedestrian and bike infrastructure, addressing zoning for increasing housing nor transit hubs. So there are many different possibilities that could be plans that you're looking to implement. And this is a non-exhaustive list. We just wanted to give you a sense of the kinds of programs that might be appropriate for this program. The ideal applicants will consist of two-person teams from their community. One person who applies to this program must be employed by a municipal or tribal government or a metropolitan or regional planning organization who is responsible for the implementation of the completed plan. And the second person could be from a different government or planning organization or from a community-based planning organization. A community-based organization is really our intention. We're most excited to be able to support partnerships that are between a local government and a community-based organizations. We really want to support those kinds of partnerships. But if the second person is from a different part of the government or some of the different organizations listed here, they're still eligible to apply. Just to clarify, the reason we're prioritizing two-person teams is to ensure the longevity of the work. We don't want the work to be dependent on one person or for the work to stop if that person should leave the organization. And we believe that additional buy-in into the work will ensure that it will continue over time. So we're looking, and we also believe that having leaders from different parts of a community or different parts of a locality really helps to create a stronger base on which the work is built. That said, if it's not possible for two different organizations to be represented, applicants from two branches of the same government or organization may apply. And if a team application is not possible, individuals may also apply. So I think we can move to the next slide. Great. So how to apply? So we have a form that details your interests and your goals, and the deadline is Wednesday, November 13th at 11:59 p.m. Eastern time. All our times are in Eastern time. We'll be using the following criteria to review applications, and these criteria will be weighted equally. They are, first, a clear purpose, that the team identifies a specific local policy or action for implementation. Second, partnership, that the two team members are from different sectors of the community and other stakeholders are also involved and supportive in the implementation of the plan. Third, environmental justice, that the policy or action has potential for positive impact in an environmentally disadvantaged community. And fourth, climate, that the policy or action will strengthen climate adaptation and/or mitigation. And I just want to be clear that communities do not need to meet all 4 criteria to be accepted. That those that do will be rated higher, but we may accept communities that do not meet all 4 criteria. So if you feel like I have most of these, but I'm missing some, that we still want to encourage you to apply. And we hope that you will apply if these seem like, within the area of what you have when you're thinking about applying. So that I think covers that slide. And then I'm gonna move to the next slide, which is I just wanted to give a few minutes of walking through what the application is, and what the questions are. I just think it's very useful to know in advance what you're going to be asked. And we've provided that within the SurveyMonkey tool that we're using for everyone to apply, but we also wanted to just share it with you here so you understand some of our thinking behind these questions. So the first set of application questions are pretty simple. We're looking for information about the primary and secondary applicant, contact information, what organization you're part of, the town, city, or tribe in which your priority effort will take place, and that state as well. So we'll start with those initial questions, and then we can move to the next slide, which describes the core questions. So we have in the application, we have a total of 7 core questions, which give us a sense to understand what you're looking to do with your program. So the first 4 questions are these. So first, we're asking applicants to describe the local policy or action your team hopes to advance through participation in the program, and how it's related to how you identified the local policy or action, for example, if it's identified in a planning document. As an optional second question, we invite you to share what plans and programs your community envisions or already has underway that are relevant to the policy or program or project you would implement through the Accelerator network, and how this program will support or advance the development or implementation of these plans. We're particularly interested in knowing whether this work sort of dovetails or fits in with other parts of work that you have in working on your community. This isn't a required question, it's an optional question, and which just to give us a sense of how this work fits in with the other work that you're doing. The third question is about the geographic scope of the policy or action you plan to implement. We'd just like to understand at what level of geography this plan is taking place. The fourth question is to describe the relevant experience of the 2 members of your team and how the partnership will help implement the specific local or policy or action that you plan to implement through this program. And if there's a broader team assisting with the implementation of the action or policy, for example, a steering committee or some other team that's working on this beyond those 2 people, we'd also be happy to understand how that your 2-person team will coordinate with that group. Okay, we can go to the next slide. So just a few more core questions. So the next question is to identify key environmental justice challenges that your community currently faces and opportunities to address these challenges through working on the specific local policy or action that you've identified. We're interested in any adjacent social, housing, or economic issues that intersect with the environmental issues that have been already described in your application. Sixth, we ask how the local policy or action you've selected will strengthen climate adaptation and/or mitigation in your community. And then finally, just to double check that to let everyone know that participants are required to attend all workshops in the final convening. So we ask that applicants check their calendar to ensure their availability before applying to participate. And in the application, we provide those dates. They're also available on our website. So this is just a simple checkbox to make sure that you've checked the dates and you're available. And if you're not available, you can say no and explain why. So those are the core questions. And then there are a few other questions that I just wanted to explain. As you can see that these questions are very much tied to the eligibility that we've already been discussing. And on the next slide, we have some questions that are more for our information or to help us understand what you're most interested in learning about. So you can go to the next slide. Great. So we have three sort of topics of interest question that just help us to get to know you a little bit better and help design the program in a way that really serves the needs of the applicants. So the first question is that within the general topics of this program, which as we've said are environmental justice, climate change, land use, and infrastructure, we're interested in knowing what your team is most interested in learning about as part of the program. And we'll be using this information for the applicants that are selected to understand how to custom design the program to serve your needs. The second question is considering broader community leadership topics, such as public communication, identifying funding resources, grant writing, evaluation, trauma-informed engagement. What is your team most interested in learning as part of this program? And so we'll be providing some support and peer learning on topical issues like those that were mentioned before, but we also intend to provide capacity building and professional development opportunities as part of the program. And we'd like to know which of those are most of interest to you, again, so that we can design the program for your needs. And then finally, as part of the Accelerator network, we're going to be inviting community leaders to also share their experiences and lessons learned with the peer community. Part of the beauty of this is that people get to share their expertise with each other. So we also ask within the general topics of the program, on what topics would your team be most interested in sharing your expertise as part of this program? And this will enable us, again, to design the program in such a way that we can take advantage of the expertise that we already have within the group. If you feel like you don't have a good answer to that question, it's okay to say that you don't have any, but we believe that community leaders have lots of experience and wonderful expertise and things that they've already learned through this process. And we would love to give you the opportunity to share that as appropriate within the context of the program. So those are the questions that people will be asked throughout the through the application process. And I think that that's the end of what I'm presenting here. So we're happy to answer your questions and talk more about all of these details. Thank you so much.
Hi, all. I'm going to jump in. This is Kelsey with the EPA team. I see, well, first, let me say, feel free to, as we said on the slide, enter any questions you have in the chat, or go ahead and raise your hand, and we will, call on folks to unmute themselves and ask their question. I see one question from John McKenna in the chat with regards to talking about how we'll score the applications. I think what I'll say for now is that we'll use a 1 to 5 kind of ranking system for each of the criteria that we mentioned in the slide. Morgan, could you maybe put the criteria slide back up again, if that's not too much trouble, just to give people the chance to look back at it? Thank you. Oh, I think you passed it. Next one. Sorry, this is how to apply is the one. That's perfect. So that 1, 2, 3, 4, those items, we'll use kind of like a 5-point scale where it's like, the team very clearly identified a specific local policy or action, and then, kind of going down the scale there. Feel free to reach out if you want to get a better look at any of that criteria, and I'll see what we can share. But in general, we'll be using a 5-point scale for each of these 4 items and scoring folks in that way. And then I see your second question, John, regarding the location of the final in-person convening. And we have not selected a location yet, because our hope is that one of the selected communities might be interested in hosting. We thought it could be a really kind of a special opportunity to be able to see some of the work that one of the participating communities is undertaking in real time. So more to come on that. We're going to see what kinds of applications we receive, where folks are located, and hope to notify the participants as soon as we can. Marisha, I see your hand up. Feel free to unmute yourself and ask your question.
Yes. Right now, I feel I would really love to be in this program because I live in Cincinnati and Lower Price Hill, and Groundworks is across the street from Community Matters, which is a sustainability program that is within the low-income community. So I was wondering, is sustainability still stronger than the environmental, or do both of them go together?
I wonder, Yvonne, would you be able to pull up the website that links to EPA's definition of sustainability? And we can share that in the chat. We have kind of like EPA has a page where we kind of explain like what does sustainability mean for us. And so you'll see, I think sustainability and environment are very closely tied together. Thanks, Yvonne. And this page kind of explains in a little bit more detail, like what specifically we mean by sustainability. So I think this is a helpful resource.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for the interest and the question. Okay, I'm hoping my team can help me out. I'm having trouble answering and managing the questions coming in the chat.
Yes, I'm trying to also answer a few of them in the chat as they come in, the easier ones. I think some of the harder ones, the one that just came in, I think we could talk through verbally. So regarding the level of completion that we expect projects within the time frame of the accelerator. So I think after each workshop, what you will see is that there will be essentially next action steps identified, where we hope in the month between each workshop, you will take steps to movement, right? To move your idea towards action based on the conversations and the work during each individual workshop. But we don't necessarily anticipate completion over the 7-month period. We recognize that many of the projects are very complex and may require more time. We're just trying to set each community up for success and also momentum. The second question here was, do we have a preference for the scale of the project? Local, county, larger scale projects might be harder to implement within the shorter time frame. We do not have a preference for scale. And then the third question here, will there be opportunities to share these projects within the EPA or other organizations that influence federal funding or policy? So yes. So the Smart Growth Network consists of a number of national nonprofit organizations, and we anticipate that leaders and staff from those organizations will be participating in the workshops as facilitators. And so there will be interaction between the communities and those various nonprofits. And we also anticipate that folks from the EPA who have expertise on very specific topics of interest to the communities will also be present during the workshops as appropriate.
Thanks, Alina. Question from Emily Haskett. What if the local government does not have a published sustainability plan, but there is a need for peer learning on infrastructure development, electric vehicle infrastructure development? I think the reason our ideal is for this work to be tied into some sort of formalized plan is we're seeing this as kind of like a demonstration of buy-in to implementing an action in your community. So if you're looking for more peer support to just kind of like learn about a topic more generally, I think this might not be quite the right program. I would say feel free to email us and we can kind of like talk about it further and maybe brainstorm together. But for the Accelerator Network, we really want to be working with folks on implementation challenges specifically.
I just wanted to add, the Office of Community Revitalization does technical assistance with communities on various topics, where we help communities create a different kind of various kinds of action plans on a range of different topics. So if you're interested in that kind of work, if you check out our website, you can see some of the technical assistance that we provide. This is meant to be a kind of level 2 program for communities that have already been able to do that kind of thinking at some level, not necessarily with the Office of Community Revitalization, but have already been able to do the thinking and the shared effort to kind of come onto the same page about what that plan is. And this is for once you've done that work, then there's the next hurdle of implementing that plan. And that's the stage at which we see the communities that are best fit for this program.
Thanks, Yvonne. I just shared the link to our website in the chat. If you have any questions, again, dropping my email in there. I want to answer Kimberly White's question just to make sure it's very clear. This is in fact not a grant program. Unfortunately, we don't come with any funding, but we come with a lot of heart and a desire to really support you all in this work. So correct, not a grant program, though, as Alina mentioned in the chat, we do hope to discuss during some of our sessions some strategies for identifying different funding opportunities. We definitely recognize that that is a huge barrier to implementation. And so we do want to address it to the extent that we can. And then I see a question from Alice. Can you talk more about the expectations for final outcomes by the end of the program? We were actually just talking about this morning. And I think what we decided on is, we don't necessarily want to leave you guys with another plan, but we want everyone to walk away with like a clear understanding of their next steps toward implementation, a better understanding of some of the resources out there, partnerships, all those kinds of things. Alina, Yvonne, do you guys want to add anything to that?
Yeah, I just was going to add, I mean, we certainly intend that communities that are participating will make progress on their implementation during the course of this program. The program is designed in such a way that you will be able to work towards implementation during this time. We recognize that communities might be in different places in terms of how long that implementation might take. And so if you are as long as you're making progress within the course of the program, we understand if the project isn't complete, if it's the kind of project that would realistically take more than 7 months to accomplish, but we intend for progress to be made during this time.
Thanks, Yvonne. I see a question from Dania. Asking with regards to the resources that we identified, will these be something to receive direct support with through the accelerator, or would it be more resource sharing for us to learn more? We're hoping to do both. Our goal is to have really hands-on sessions where we're not just learning about the topics, but really working together to think through how to apply them in your own communities. So we're really hoping for it to be a little bit of both. We're kind of in the process of developing our curriculum and kind of finalizing all of that right now. So we definitely want input from participating communities with regards to what will be most helpful. And yeah, we hope that it will be both learning and doing.
Right. And one thing I wanted to add to that is we haven't talked so much about the asynchronous learning that's meant to happen between workshops, but we have a LinkedIn group that will be set up specifically for the group of participants to be able to interact with each other and with us during the course of the program between workshops. And in that space, we intend, to both be sharing resources and also to be, supporting the ongoing implementation. So there will be well, I'm not sure I would call it direct support, but basically like a lot of friends and supporters during the process to try and address the hurdles that people might naturally run into while they're in the process of implementing.
Thanks, Yvonne. I see a question from Alice about which communities will prioritize. I am going to send you a link with the map that we'll be referring to determine if communities are considered disadvantaged per the community. Oh gosh, Environmental Justice Screening Tool. I think that's what CJS stands for. And per the Inflation Reduction Act. So I'm going to send that link in the chat so you can see which communities are identified as disadvantaged under that. Oh, Alina also sent it. Thank you so much. But I want to emphasize that even if you're not marked, if your community is not marked as disadvantaged on that map, you can still score very highly. It's not the only factor that we'll be taking into consideration when reviewing applications. So please don't let that discourage you if your community isn't considered disadvantaged on that map. We do anticipate, working with a wide range of communities. I see Alina answered Alice's other question. Thank you for that. I see Kirsten's question. This is the first Sustainable Communities Accelerator Network. We do have plans to answer Emily's question to continue it into the future. So yeah, this is the first program. We're excited to see how it goes and learn alongside you all. So really appreciate you guys being interested in this first round. And I guess I should say, it has been, the development of this program has been informed by the technical assistance that our office has done for many years. So I feel like we're building on a strong foundation and excited to continue to learn with you all. I see Quinn Mulholland's question. I don't know that we have identified specific ways for you all to demonstrate support from your leadership. I think we kind of left that open-ended intentionally. Alina, Yvonne, am I missing something? Am I missing anything there? I think just any sort of like examples you can give us of having leadership buy-in.
I think a big part of this, honestly, is having a completed plan. Could be an action plan, could be a sustainability plan, could be a climate action plan, but I think having that on the books largely implies that there is high level executive support for what is within it.
Agreed. Marisha, you had your hand up. Feel free to come off mute.
Yes, I need to know, when we put in the application, do we need to already know that those days are free, or we have to wait till we get accepted?
Our goal in giving you all the dates now is that you can just go ahead and block them off on your calendars as soon as possible. So we would love for everyone who's applying to be free on all of those days. Obviously recognize that things come up and things happen. But we would love for everyone who's interested to do what they can to make sure those days stay open. Thanks for asking.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you. John, I think we have to double check our timing and get back to you. Let's go ahead and say 2 to 5 for now, and we will confirm that with y'all. But better to block off more time, right? I think we're aiming for 2 to 5. We're like in the background here looking through a couple of different documents, trying to make sure we have our information correct. Ashante, we do not expect that you guys will already have funding identified and allocated to the project. We know that that's a huge hurdle for a lot of implementation projects. So definitely, like, we're not asking about that in the application. We totally understand that that's a big barrier, and we hope to kind of discuss, yeah, how to identify different funding sources as part of the program itself. So definitely not a requirement. Yes, we'll get back to folks regarding whether or not they've been accepted mid-December. Alina is on this in the chat. Thank you for responding. Did we miss any questions? Feel free to raise your hand or resend it in the chat if we missed anything. Alina, would you be willing to take this question around the breakdown of the meeting? We were also discussing this morning, and I feel like
We were,
have a
and I
clear
don't know that
picture.
I have the
Okay.
draft that we were talking about open on my screen, but I think the idea is there will be an anchor presentation on content to open the 3 hours, probably 20-ish minutes. And then we will go into a peer discussion, which would consist of a series of presentations from participants about one, what has worked and been successful already in their communities. Again, we're reviewing all of the participants as experts, and we want to share what they have done successfully with each other. And then they'll share, okay, but now we're facing this new challenge and we're stuck on fill in the blank, and there will be opportunities for back and forth. So both the other participants can provide feedback and ideas, as well as some of the experts that we invite in. So it's kind of a combination. And then we will have a professional development module, small group work related to implementation, and closing. So there will be roughly 4 different activities over the course of the total 3-hour block, with a break in the middle.
One thing I'll just say about this is that it's really important to us that this be interactive. We have no interest in talking to people for 3 hours. We want to make sure that that the people who are most aligned with each other get to know each other and get to work more closely with each other. We want to make sure that there's opportunities for you to get feedback from your peers and also provide feedback, and to build a community. So that's our real goal. And so that the sessions will be designed to maximize that. So regarding the question about the application questions, so I'm going to ask someone else to drop the SurveyMonkey link into the chat. But the way we set up the SurveyMonkey was that on the, I think it's the second or third page, but before you have to ask any information, before you have to answer any information, we have a page that has all of the application questions so that you can simply copy and paste from there. And that way you'll have all the questions in advance and you can prepare them according to their word limits and then paste it in when you're finished. So thank you for that question. If someone can't use that function and needs an actual PDF, let us know and we can provide that to you.
Any other questions in our last 15 minutes here?
Got it. I will send that to you by email.
Thanks for joining, Marisha. Jen, as far as an individual applying on their own, I would say we kind of leave this to you all. Basically, we just understand that, like, having two organizations or even two people from, the same local government just is not possible in every community. So we just hope for you to maybe kind of tell us more about your situation and why you're applying as an individual in your application. So yeah, just recognizing that, a lot of the communities that we work with are small, often rural, and yeah, don't always have a formal local government. So just, wanting to be flexible and understanding that this isn't always possible in every community. So definitely, defer to the applicant and their, like, understanding of the local context. I just hope that you kind of, like, fill us in on what the situation is, what the context is, and why you need to apply as an individual. I think with that, I will volunteer to stick around until 2 if anyone has more questions. But if folks have to get going, feel free to do so as needed. I see Alice's question in the chat. Unfortunately, there are not past communities to learn about this particular program because this will be our inaugural cohort. So we're really excited to be launching this program for the first time. If you're interested in connecting with other organizations that have participated or communities that have participated in our technical assistance, we might be able to connect you with some of those folks. You can let us know via email if you're interested. Julie, I see your note about requesting a PDF of the application, so we'll make sure to grab you as well. Yeah, it is exciting. Thanks, Alice. We're very excited.
Hi, Evans.
Thank you. So yeah, we'll stick around until 2 if folks have questions they want to chat about further, but otherwise, you should receive a recording of the webinar in your email pretty shortly after we all hang up here, and feel free to reach out with any other questions via email.
Oh, sorry. Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Sorry, my name was different. I'm Prema. I'm in Palm Springs,
Hi,
California. Hi, this is me first time using Microsoft Teams, so this is like a new
Welcome
thing
to Teams. It's what we have.
Yeah, that's good. Everybody gets to. So I had to miss some of the presentation because I was on a different call. But I really love this program because I'm kind of looking for a kind of opportunity to work directly with EPA and associated organizations. Did you guys work with public benefit corporations in general? I don't know whether you answered or not. What is the definition of a community organization? I'm a for-profit LLC right now, but I'm turning into a public benefit corporation eventually. And my business is to help local communities to compost food scraps into compost because of the California mandated state law. And I'm working with the cities and various organizations to implement some circular economy business models. So I consider myself as a community-based organization because my organization is helping the communities to be resilient, climate ready. But is there a written on stone definition for that community-based organization?
I actually think
Okay.
that the base idea here would be having you partner with one of the communities that you're serving. So if you're working with a local township municipality on the composting program, standing up a new composting program, and you were to apply as a partner, I think that would makes sense. As opposed to if you applied representing all of the different communities that you work with. But if you focused on one specific, so we want it to be tangible, right? So like, okay, we know that the community of Palm Springs or fill in the blank community wants to implement a new composting related program and you're the partner that's helping them implement it. I think it would make sense for the two of you to apply and work together on that. Sorry if I interrupted, Kelsey, if you want to add more.
And the reply, I took this program, printed out literally, and walked into the city sustainability director's office because I want to have a conversation. The other thing I came across is like, since the application is closing on November 13th, they felt like they don't have enough time to give me an answer. I literally said, hey, can you be the first partner, that municipality, and I can be the partner, and one of your member can do the program. But they said, hey, Prema, we cannot commit to that because we have to submit the application in 2 weeks, plus we have to commit one person from our team for this time period, and we don't know whether we can do that or not. I understand this is a pilot project, but is there a possibility if the city becomes the first applicant, I can have another person from my team or another sustainability commissioner or somebody that is not representative from the city, main applicant, working on this?
I'm sorry, I didn't totally follow the question. Like if you could kind of switch in a different person to be one of the two participating people.
Yeah.
I mean, we are like, I would say in general, we're willing to work with communities. I think we don't want to, plan for that. But if that's what has to happen, I think we want to be flexible and meet communities where they're at. So yeah, I think it's maybe like a case by case basis kind of thing. So I would say like, let's keep in touch.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for answering.
Yeah. Thanks so much for your interest and for making time to be here. Really appreciate it. Thanks to folks for hanging out with us until the end. Again, feel free to jump if you have to jump, but I think we'll plan to just stay on for the last 5 minutes in case anything comes up. Okay, we are officially going to close up shop. I'm going to put my email in the chat one last time in case folks have any questions that come up after we hang up. Don't hesitate to reach out. And thank you all for being here today. Take care.